also all of this talk of lowballing and going in with a low ball offer. 70 million we went in with, by all accounts. 70 million plus add-ons.
Was the first bid not 65 plus ads?
Yeah, but I think the whole package, because that's what they refused, wasn't it? The whole package was 70 million. That was the 65 plus add-ons. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But the thing is, you can't go in at their asking price because they'll just put it up.
Well,
Yeah.
of course they will.
You've got to go in lower. And 70 million. 70 million isn't a low ball.
But according to it,
had a buyout clause.
Newcastle walked away.
Yeah,
but Newcastle walked away once they refused. So that's what I'm saying. Why has it taken so long? If that's fact, and we walked away on the first refusal without going in with another bid, which was obviously open to air on Wednesday afternoon when me and Win were on the channel, with this 100 million, which was the release clause price, and we were looking everywhere for it, wasn't there? Yeah. Again, it's all hearsay, it's all speculation, and it's a lot of it's coming from agents. And like I said, the only thing that drives, clicks on views and it's headlines, and that's what I keep saying. A lot of this is just them to get clicks on headlines, and when you read the article, it's got nothing to do with the headline. Most of it.
I think.
I'll just say something. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the club leaked Ekitike's club, Frankfurt, if they leaked this to draw Liverpool out. So maybe we've been played a little bit that way. But the offer we put in, 70 million, I mean, it might be below the release clause, but it's still a hefty chunk of money. So from our point of view, we might be thinking, look, it gets us at the table, and they might accept something a little bit below the buyout clause. I think as well, you've got to bear in mind that we obviously have to think of other parts of the team. So we're having to set money aside for other positions as well. So I think while we really want to have quality to support Isaac, we've got to bear in mind that we're looking for a centre-back, we're looking for a goalkeeper. So we're probably not in a position where we can meet that release clause. We're just trying to get him at a really expensive price, but a price that works for us.
Absolutely.
It hasn't worked. Fine.
And that's exactly what my point was. There's got to be a pot for so many places, hasn't there?
Exactly.
I think we'll probably.
I just say one thing, right? I just think this is where maybe, throw a curveball out there. Is this where maybe you do sell a player to raise more funds, to get an Ekitike, and then also get, the centre back you want, for example, or the goalkeeper. I'm thinking Anthony Gordon, for example.
There's lots of talk about Trippier potentially going.
Okay.
I think
you wouldn't get loads, I suppose, of Trippier, but would you sell Gordon for 70, 80 million, knowing that you have money for somebody like Ekitike? It's probably not going to happen now, but somebody of that ilk, and then money left over to go to a Gehi or a quality centre-back.
No.
And one last curveball I'll throw out there is I really like Gakpo at Liverpool.
I don't mind me.
I would personally, swap Gordon for Gakpo. I don't know how it would work money-wise, but
you'd want money as well, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, money as well.
Damn right.
I think the other thing that people are forgetting is release clauses are set by the buying club at a level they think no one's going to pay because they don't want to lose the player or they want to protect themselves, and they set it at a level that's a lot higher than they think the player's actually worth, to try and that if someone's stupid enough to pay it, they'll happily let them go. But not many release clauses actually get triggered because there's a fee below that the club is normally happy with.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point, but usually a release clause has to be agreed by both player and club because it has to marry both. A player isn't going to sign a contract for you if he believes, and we've seen this in the past, haven't we? If he believes the release clause part of his contract is too high
But then again,
and beyond
it's
the value.
boosting their ego as well. It's rubbing the stroke of the ego. We think you're worth this much. You think you're really valuable. So,
Well,
Fox
pay
is-
me that.
I think
Well,
Fox is hit the nail on the head. He was at 16 million euros a year ago. So there's no excuses. If we really wanted him, why didn't we go in for him when he was only valued at 16 million? And this is where you get frustrated
Because we didn't have the money.
Well, you know, when you say we didn't
Yes,
have the
hard one.
money, right? There was potential of we could have moved a player on. And remember back then, the likes of Wilson was being shouted at and being touted at. You know, I'm not saying he should have gone or anything else, but sometimes you've got to say to yourself, has loyalty come back to bite us on the backside?
It's the Aubameyang all over again. We could have Aubameyang for just over 20 million euros, and we wouldn't pay the extra couple of million. And then obviously he went on to do what he did.
Yeah.
But am I not right in thinking as well that if we'd hit Atlanta's release clause, if it went in with the extra 60 million, technically over the 5 seasons, that's £4 million extra a season. Is that really a massive amount?
Massive amount, yeah.
It depends how much leeway you've got and what other shopping you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing.
And I think also on the release clause point is, I think if a player's already at a club and then signed a new contract, then they do have a realistic release clause because it's part of the deal. And if you're getting a longer term contract with the player, I think Wynn's made this point that it's part of the fact that you'll get a longer term deal with a player, but they're going to want a realistic release clause for themselves as well.
But it's still going to be higher than buying clubs will want to pay.
Yeah,
And
what
it's
I'm
deliberately
saying,
done that way.
A player will argue if you're putting £100 million release clause on me, I should be getting paid what £100 million player is earning.
Yeah. I think the big question.
Davey's saying here that Liverpool only offered 70 plus add-ons. So only a little bit.
This is the problem. We just don't know. Listen,
exactly.
I'm quite happy with the fact that if Newcastle United are looking at a player and they've got a list of who they want and how much money they've got, and they say, well, we can go to that for that player. And if they go to that and they get knocked back, okay, move on.
Maybe just taking too long, that process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think it is, personally.
You know, these things they just don't happen overnight. The club's got to agree, the player's got to agree. He's going to have talks with his agent. Just because we want it to happen right now doesn't mean that him and his agent are dancing to our tune.
Argument is when we're waiting a couple of days before we're then opening the bid. If it gets rejected, go back in and say, look, this is as high we're going to go. Yeah, either accept it or we don't, and then we walk. Because ultimately...
Right, and how do we know that hasn't happened? And it's taken them 2 days to...
It's taken nearly a week.
But are we playing Mr. Nice Guy as well with teams? So we're going in for one player, then if we don't get them, we're going in for the next player, then we're going in for the next. Why don't we put multiple bids in for 3 players
at the same time?
At the same time, and then if one of them's rejected, you've got the other one. And if all 3 are accepted, say we just turn around and choose the player that we want.
But the excuse they've given for that, though, isn't it, is the fact that they haven't got a DOF, they haven't got anybody in the background that supposedly does this job. So they're looking at one player at a time so they can cross the T's and dot the I's without any issues further on down the line, which again, you know, we talk about time. We haven't got the time by the looks of it now to keep going back over small details. And you know,
what I'm saying is the players in the same position. So if you're going for a striker, put 3 bids. If you've got, say, 3 targets as strikers, put a bid in for each one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, mate.
That's right. Okay, so let's assume you do that.
Worst case, you pull out the deal for 2 of them because you've got the one that you want. Or
so just theoretically, we are interested in. Let's say Ekitike is one number 1 target, Wissa is number 2, and Mateta is number 3. Just to pick a name at random, right? So we'll put those bids in, and Mateta says champion. So we'll get Mateta instead of Ekitike.
No, you just say, look, we've got X, Y, and Z amount of business hours to respond to take the deal further because we're working on other deals. It's as simple as that. If you can accept the bid.
I think the other problem you have there is that the way that the press work, it's going to be leaked that you've gone in for all these 3 players in the same position, and you run the chance of pissing them all off, and they decide they don't want to come.
Yeah. So I think the question is, guys, who's next? As Goldberg used to say, who's my next target?
Well, obviously, it sounds very much as if Wissa is the name being bandied around, and I mean, I've got another name that I've seen as well. Never heard of this lad, Danish connection. Now, whether Asula has mentioned this lad, and it's the lad's
our super agent.
Our super agent, yeah, I'm not sure because there seems to be links across the board. If you think now we've gone and got Swede, we've now looking at this Danish kid. Now we're looking at Italian defenders. It's as if there's some type of marriage happening between players that we've already got, which I don't think is a bad thing. And I'm going to come on to Ilanga in a minute and how he feels about his coming to Newcastle. And again, the temperament and the attitude of this lad, who I had doubts about, don't get me wrong, and to a degree I still have. But I think his attitude is exactly what Eddie Howe likes. He wants to improve. He wants to challenge. He loves the club already. And in part of his statement, which you'll hear in a second, it's like, I've only been here a week, but it feels like I've been here years because the lads have accepted me. And I think that goes hand in hand with the type of attitude that Eddie Howe wants behind the scenes.
Don't forget to smash the like button. It helps us a lot to keep growing. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, activate all notifications, that way you get notified every time we go live. And don't forget, you can become a member, get exclusive content, access to all of our live shows on demand at the time that you want. Also, of course, giveaways every month, sometimes multiple giveaways a month. So stay tuned for that, check it out, help support the channel. It's a small fee, and of course, you help us and grow. If you hate the Mackhams, smash that like button.
To say the bleeding races. When we got the wheel put on, away we went again. But them that had their noses broke, they came back our him. Some went to the dispensary, and some to Dr. Gibbs's, and some to the informer.